taken a deep dive today into, well, a pretty provocative stack of sources.
It's a very different lens.
A very different lens, yeah. We're skipping the usual political strategy and ideology to look at what one report calls a, quote, unified field theory of political pathology.
That's right. And the goal here is to move past just seeing the behavior as chaotic or, ideological.
Right, not just random acts.
Exactly. We're exploring the theory that the administration's actions are actually a compulsive, almost pathological reenactment of one single script.
The Chapter 11 playbook.
The corporate bankruptcy restructuring, yes.
And the sources argue this script isn't really a choice. It's compelled by this powerful convergence.
It's a dual pathology.
Yeah, two things working together. First, what they call behavioral variant frontotemporal dementia, or BVFTD.
And that, they say, is what strips the brain of its brakes, inhibition judgment.
Then the second part of the pathology is malignant narcissism,
which acts as the engine. So with no brakes and this hyper-aggressive engine, the brain just defaults to its most entrenched, most familiar pathway.
That bankruptcy script.
That bankruptcy script. Now, we should be clear. These are monumental clinical claims.
And they're based on public observation.
Right. But the sources justify it by pointing to very specific evidence of neurological decline that is distinct from typical aging.
And some of the clinical markers they cite are, they're genuinely jarring. Let's start with the language erosion.
This is a big one. The sources track a decline from, polished paragraphs decades ago to these modern instances of what's called phonemic paraphasia.
That's where sound fragments just substitute for words?
Exactly. They cite examples like pay-fi or South Cara D.
Wow.
And even those strange tangential digressions, like mentioning the late, great Hannibal Lecter in the middle of a policy speech.
Yeah, what's the analysis there?
The sources don't see it as just a joke. They see it as a clinical failure of the brain's gating mechanism. It just can't inhibit irrelevant thoughts from spilling out.
And this decay also shows up physically. The sources point to pretty striking motor deficits, specifically the wide-based gait and this very noticeable difficulty with the right leg. They describe it as, quote, swinging like a dead weight in a semicircle.
And that specific movement is what the experts in the report call pathognomonic.
What does that mean exactly?
In simple terms, it's a distinctive diagnostic sign. You almost only see it with FTD. It means the failure of the system's brakes is visibly, physically real.
Okay, so if the neurological evidence suggests the brakes are failing,
which it does,
how does that compel the political strategy? Let's trace this Chapter 11 script as it's applied to the nation.
Right. So in this analogy, the U.S. becomes the distressed asset, the company going bankrupt.
And the citizenry. Who are we in this scenario?
We are the unsecured creditors. And in any bankruptcy, you know what happens to them.
They get wiped out.
Their claims get liquidated. So the citizens' claims, things like constitutional rights, the right to dissent, they have to be cleared away for the debtor's benefit.
So is there a specific instrument for this? A tool to achieve that political liquidation?
The sources point to one thing in particular. National Security Presidential Memorandum 7.
NSPM 7. What does it do?
Well, it directs joint terrorism task forces to investigate dissent.
Investigate dissent itself?
Yes, by classifying certain ideologies as domestic terrorism. Things like anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, and opposition based on race, migration, and gender.
So it's a legal mechanism to basically declare broad dissent an invalid claim.
It perfectly mirrors how a corporate debtor uses the bankruptcy court to wipe out the claims of unsecured creditors. It is the exact same logic.
And that seems to lead to the final critical point about the synergistic danger here.
It does. The neurological decay of FTD ensures the brakes will never be repaired.
They're gone for good.
And the malignant narcissism ensures the engine, that aggressive drive for dominance, will never idle.
So the trajectory is fixed. It's just going to follow the playbook.
Absolutely predictable. Declare crisis, seize control, sift creditors, rebrand.
The history of these corporate reorganizations reveals a core hierarchy of values. The leader would rather rule a diminished, insolvent nation than be a citizen in a thriving one. And that's because the true core value is control, ownership, solvency.
Control is the ultimate prize.
So we'll leave you with this to think about. What are the long-term consequences of a political system that fundamentally prioritizes image and control over national solvency?